friend of Sarah Connor. I was told that she's here. Could I see her, please?
No, can't see her. She's making a statement.
Where is she?
Look, it may take a while. You want to wait? There's a bench over there.
I'll be back.
I don't know what to say now.
Is that how you're going to start? I
Yeah.
don't know what to say.
It probably seems like we haven't done one of these in a long time, but we have. It's just that every time I've done it, I've effed up in some way. But
It's not your fault. It's a technical issue. It happens. So yes, that's it.
So I think I fixed it now.
You hope.
Well, I checked everything out last night, so hopefully it won't change.
We'll see.
But yeah, there's a new Terminator film come out. What's it
I
called?
don't.
Damp Feet or something?
I don't know. I don't want to acknowledge any Terminator films really past Terminator 2. I think that was the final film, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, Salvation was okay. At least they tried to do something.
Hang on, we'll get into this
all right.
another time, I think, because otherwise, you know, we'll be here all night. So it's yes.
But it's the old tired formula of a fast robot being sent back in time to kill a single person who's important in the future.
Well, if you go way back to 1984, when the idea was quite novel, we had the Terminator.
The Terminator.
Which was a iconic film at the time. Really, still is pretty iconic in every respect. I love it. I mean, obviously, nowadays, a lot of people talk about Terminator 2 being a classic, which it is, and I do think it is superior to the original, perhaps the best sequel of all time.
I wouldn't call it superior. I mean, they're two completely different films. I mean, tonally.
Yes.
It's a bit like Alien and Aliens.
Yes, I agree. I would say
Other
that
James Cameron films.
I would say that I found Terminator 2 more entertaining. Let's put it that way. But again, that can be for another time. But yes, hey, very good. That took you slightly longer to quote and do an Arnold impression than I thought it would. But no, as you say, the tone of the first film was very different, very, very dark.
It's like a slasher film.
It is, and we obviously spoke about Halloween before, and
yeah, that
was one of
the technical issues.
Yes, yeah, but he's unstoppable. It's the whole idea of an expert or a defender in Carl Reese. You have the innocent in Sarah Connor, and indeed John Connor, if you will, and this seemingly unstoppable creature, this monster, which is relentless and purely evil because it's unfeeling, as he says. You know, you can't actually reason with it, and it just doesn't stop. It's
can't reason with it. You can't bargain with it.
Mm-hmm. So, and that guy who actually, played the Terminator, relatively, new on the scene then, whatever his name was, Arnold something or other. That role, because it was O.J. Simpson, I believe, was originally cast.
Yeah, they were originally going to cast him, but they didn't think he looked like a killer. Was that the story?
I'm not saying a word there, but Arnold had the physical presence was obviously there.
He was originally going to play Kyle Reese, I think.
Yes, but who would you have then had as the Terminator? Because it would have made no sort of sense. The thing is that a lot of people gives him a lot of stick because of what he does. They say, oh, he's not a good actor, blah blah blah. Ultimately, for a emotionless robot, at that point especially, it was the perfect role for him, because physically I think he'd either just won Mr. Olympia or was still going through. Obviously, physically, he was very, dominant when he was actually on screen. And yeah, I mean, he only had a few lines of actual dialogue in it, but then it didn't need to be any more. And then, of course, at the end of the movie, we are treated to perhaps, again, if we spoke about movie monsters before, perhaps one of the most iconic movie monsters, if you will. Definitely movie robots in the actual endoskeleton when it actually comes up out of the fire, and you're thinking, wow, that's impressive. Although some might argue the stop motion special effects now are one of the things that don't hold up as well nowadays as a retrospective. But
I don't know. I mean, it still looks okay to me.
It does, but a lot of people.
I think the thing is with films is, if they're a good film, if they have a good story, you can sort of forego the bad special effects.
Yeah, well, the special effects weren't bad, and again, the tone of the film, the visuals, we have to say the music as well. Again, the iconic Terminator theme, which is again fantastic, very very simple. But then you have kind of the theme all go through. It's got like that techno beat, that and it's
very
like a bit
simplistic.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Again, the Halloween retrospective review, which you missed. We did talk about, again, a very simple theme but used to good effect that fits the film perfectly, and that was what we did.
Originally going to use orchestral.
Yes, yeah.
Soundtrack.
Yes, and there was it seems to, but like I said, it's almost mechanical. It's almost computerized, isn't it? And it is. It's very like one of those old, like I said, 16-bit computer games you had back in the day. But yes, it's funny really, because I suppose Michael Biehn was not forgotten, but he really was very much a third for the actual hero of the film. He was actually like third on the list after Linda Hamilton as Sarah, who is well, along with Ripley, really one of the strong female characters that's, not being pushed nowadays. She just was one of the strong female leads, really, and
Well, the thing is about strong female characters is, I think too much nowadays they try and transform them into some kind of male character. They try and give them male traits rather than female traits.
Well, I think is what, just let them do their own thing. I mean, that was the whole thing. It's like it worked as well, I think. And again, to go back to the Aliens comparison, say about Ripley, specifically those two films, the fact that you had the maternal connection there as well, and the actual mother fighting for her child, although obviously Newt wasn't Ripley's, but she did see her as obviously a daughter. That sort of
adopted sort of.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But
surrogate mother. That
sort of strong maternal bond also it fitted the character, and I think you can't. I think now you try and push too much on, like I said, I don't know. They're Sarah Connor really starting off as, like I said, the innocent, and then, if you will, in the second movie, she actually becomes the expert, really, which is strange.
She also ends up in a mental
institute. Yes. I think the funny thing about Terminator, and I heard this. So I was talking to it a long time ago with someone, but it stuck in my head. Was he read a few reviews, and he read a lot of people weren't cheering for the Terminator, but Arnold had that cool look, the sunglasses, the everything, leather jacket. And, a lot of people thought, this is the coolest thing. So what Cameron did with his, obviously being smart, with his filmmaking and his writing things, actually made the Terminator the hero of the second film. And even now, I think the Terminator is the only character who has been on both the top villains of all time, movie villains of all time, and the top 10.
I mean, ever since Terminator 2, they've tried to redo it, essentially.
The thing is, I would have said if there was taking 1 and 2, Terminator 3 should have probably been along the lines of Salvation. It should have been the future war and John Connor actually sending Kyle Reese back. That to me would have been the trilogy arc, would have made sense.
We're going off topic now.
We are.
We should talk more about
about it.
the Terminator.
Yes.
Not Terminator 3 or Terminator 2.
Or Salvation or Genesis or whatever.
Damn feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably one of my favourite sci-fi films. I mean, it is sort of your typical sort of 80s action sci-fi movies, really. It's like the film that everyone tries to basically imitate, I think.
It's one of the big ones, isn't it?
It's one, well, there are a lot of quotable lines in it, and a lot of lines that were carried over into, the subsequent films after.
And of course, arguably the most notable catchphrase of all time first appeared, wasn't it? I'll be back. Yes. So it's very quotable. The thing is, though, it's not just all action. It has style and substance as well. You can't just, it's not just purely, it's one of those, like, again, Aliens and even Predator as well to some extent. You've got a lot going, it's got a lot going for it. It's not just, bang bang, going through everything as well. And I believe a genuinely scary film as well for back, back in the day, really. It's, there is a lot, again, that the actual endoskeleton, I think, is, a freaky, it's a freaky looking thing. But again, such a simplistic design, someone actually sat back and thought a metal skeleton, and you would think, it's, the way it looks, the way it moves, terrifying, really.
I mean, even the way it's sort of shot as well, there's a lot of sort of close-up shots and not very many wide angles. I mean, there's a few wide angle shots, but a lot of it is very personal, very sort of enclosed, very claustrophobic, a bit like we were discussing about Halloween, the review that never came out because of the issues I had with it. But yeah, I mean, what's your favourite scene
in the first film? Oh dear, I'm gonna have to have a think about that one.
I think it's very easy for me.
Oh, you go first then.
Well, I think my favourite scene is when he goes to the police station and he's going around the police station. You've got the the soundtrack, and he's going around the police station. Everyone's sort of shooting at him, and he's just sort of tearing through the police station looking for Kyle and Sarah, because they've been sort of taken into custody.
Certainly the most memorable scene,
yeah.
I would say. That one. I think for me, for actual, I suppose, emotion as well, again, going back to the scene where they've just blown the truck up, they're embracing, and then the shape of the Terminator actually comes out and throws the debris over, and you're thinking, because you're actually thinking, okay, they've taken it out now, and then you have this, and again, the eyes, the red eyes and everything like that. It is very, that's like a whoa sort of moment. It was very much like, okay, they're in trouble. It really is pretty much indestructible. And then I suppose the funny thing is, continuing from that, then we have the scene where it's actually, it's blown in half, isn't it? Reese uses the thing and essentially sacrifices himself.
Pipe bomb.
That's it. And then it's still going. It's like, that must have been a real jump scare on the cinema, really. It's like, when it actually, again, you think it's blown up.
He dies, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
He stops being the protector at that point, and then Sarah's by herself. She has to sort of overcome the Terminator by herself at that point. Yeah, it's again, and it obviously leads on. Then you have it coming full circle with the photo being taken, which Reese has at the end. But on that, what do you think about obviously it's a paradox with regards to Reese actually being sent back in time by John Connor to actually, then make Sarah pregnant, and then you find out that he's actually as well. And spoiler, by the way.
Yes, absolutely. Other than describing the whole film, to you, but it's but it was something. It was something my mum, bless her soul, could never sort of get her head around. I think it was something that the actual time travel element of it. But then it's something that you think about, but you kind of almost. It's something that I've thought about but kind of ignore with it. You just kind of think it's very intelligent writing, really, with it. Because it was Gail Ann Hurd who co-wrote it, wasn't it? Who did, again, Aliens and a lot of other things were in the 80s. So, but yeah, did you ever think about that? Was it ever something, because I remember watching it.
No.
I suppose I watched it from a young age.
Not really.
Which, obviously I shouldn't have done.
Yeah, I think we've all done that.
Yeah, But I watched it from a young age, and I remember even then it was something that I kind of, you think, well, hang on a minute, if they actually stopped, although it's not noted in at the end of the first movie, it still says that, the war's coming, the storm's coming. At the end of the first movie, I suppose it is going only into the second movie where you think they've actually stopped it from happening.
Yeah. And there's no fate but what we make for ourselves.
Yes.
And that's the theme of the second movie, which sort of, I guess, ties it all together.
And then they go on and make a load of other stuff which makes no sense in this film, which shouldn't,
Yeah.
I don't know why they do. I do know why they do this, but it's the same with everything. They just keep pushing the sequels out. And really, the Terminator, it did kind of lend itself to a sequel. And it was a sequel, I think, they probably didn't think of it having a sequel back then, but when they actually stopped and thought about it, it did lend itself well to a sequel being made.
Yeah, you can say that, but a lot of films, they can have an ending which sort of, it's not like a true ending where it's sort of, everything is all tied up in a neat little bow. I think some of the best films sort of have an open-ended sort of... Yeah,
it's nice to have an ambiguity, but what I mean is that it didn't necessarily mean that they were going to go straight and make a sequel. I think, they could have left it there. Thankfully they didn't. We got Terminator 2, but yes, it's there. Absolute classic in my eyes, and I think really obviously launched Arnold's career, and I think James Cameron then went on to much more as well, didn't he? So it was Titanic.
Yeah, and Avatar.
We'll have to look at that another time as well. We could do Terminator 2 separately, I think, sometime.
Yeah, so final thoughts on the Terminator?
Final thoughts, great back in the day, still holds up well. One of the films that I could watch at any time, I think, really.
Yeah, it is one of those iconic films, and it is one of those films that's been parodied so many times, and it's been sort of, you know, it's one of those sort of, I guess, cultural phenomena. I mean, a bit like, I guess, Star Wars.
Yes.
Not so much as Star Wars, but it is still.
It's still, yeah, it's still iconic. It's still referenced in pretty much everything, you know, every sort of parody show, cartoon, anything that they could actually do, most definitely. But like I said, if it's on one of the channels on an evening or whatever, I could always switch it on at any point and watch it from there.
Yeah. So if you're still deciding about watching Terminator Dark Fate and you haven't seen it yet, don't bother. Just stick with that one and Terminator.
You haven't seen Dark Fate? No, neither have I, and I don't need to. I'm being told.
What's the point? It's just Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 squashed together.
And done really, really badly.
With elements of Salvation and Genesis.
And 3, probably.
3, yeah.
Disappointing. Anyway, yeah. Watch that instead.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Alright. See ya. Goodbye.